this is what your quiz looks like. So if you can do this, you can do the quiz. These first three, it says the length of the sides are given for a triangle. Describe them as acute, right, or obtuse.
You added.
Oh, yes, I'll put it up. So if you have
They're not even in the same
sides, okay? Why are you talking about other people right now when you should be doing your math? You don't need to.
Okay, I think that's a right.
So 7, 24, 25. What do you do with this?
You add it.
It's a right.
You don't add it.
Oh, you
use 7 squared.
You use the
You
Pythagorean
square it
theorem.
and add it. You use the Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? This is a, this is b, this is c. So 7 squared plus 24 squared somehow relates to 25 squared. When you plug in 7 squared plus 24 squared, do you have your calculators out? Get your calculator out.
I do.
What do you get?
625.
625.
And then it equals 625.
And this is 625. So when they are equal,
It's a right angle.
it is a right triangle. Okay? So if they are equal, right triangle. Okay, so do those next two and see what you get. 13 squared plus 15 squared somehow relates to 18 squared. And 7 squared plus 9 squared somehow relates to 14 squared.
No, I went to grab a calculator and I grabbed out a pencil because I wasn't thinking. A sucky pencil.
What do you get for 13 squared plus 15 squared?
394.
394.
Wait, is it too late to drop
Then you get 324,
Yes.
18 squared.
Oh, it is?
Without getting a W, I think. Oh, maybe not. Sorry. We're in the next quarter. I don't know what the cutoff date is for that.
I might drop some.
Okay, so here's the setup. If the a squared plus b squared is bigger, if c squared is smaller, this is what?
Acute.
Acute. Hey, you don't get to turn around anymore.
Just whatever c squared is, if it's smaller than the first number.
If c squared is smaller, it's acute, right? If this is my right angle, make your c, your hypotenuse, smaller, that angle gets smaller, right? If you make it bigger, that angle gets bigger. Okay, what's 7 squared plus 9 squared?
Obtuse.
It's 130.
And what's 14 squared?
196. It's obtuse.
So when c squared is bigger, it's obtuse. Okay?
What if it's like, out of the chance it's like, one's a negative,
I don't
one's
see
a
it.
positive, it's the same number. Doesn't matter.
There won't be any negatives. Yeah, because you can't have a negative side length. And even so, if it was negative and you squared it, it always becomes positive. So yeah, you won't have any negative numbers.
Wait, do you know, have you ever read international school?
What are you talking about? I'm so
No.
confused.
You're retarded. No, you're retarded. What
Okay.
are you talking about?
No, that's what I'm going to
No,
Here's
I
the
wanna
setup.
see What you're talking about? What?
Why don't you just tell the whole class?
Yeah, tell the whole class.
No,
I don't
because
understand.
everyone's going to just make fun of me.
No.
Say
No, Luke has a thing for how to remember acute versus obtuse.
Yeah, so do I. That's what I was just trying to tell him.
Sorry, I said Luke. I meant Isaiah.
Can you write it on the
Yeah, can I
whiteboard?
write it on the board?
Yeah,
Okay,
do it up
so-
here. So 4 and 5. There is one of each of these on your quiz as well. Excuse me. Do not point at people.
Sorry, it's 4 seconds.
If this is your setup, okay, you have a right triangle. We know 2 of the sides of the right triangle. How do you find the third?
This is the whole last
Forrest, turn around and stop speaking.
It's basically, it's like double something, or like half of something and double something.
No, this isn't a 30, 60, 90, right? There's no angles here. But when we know 2, how do we find the third?
10.
No.
X is 10.
10 squared plus 15 squared.
Pythagorean theorem, right? If you know 2 sides, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? This would be your a and your b
So
and your c.
it doesn't matter which one's A or B.
A and b are interchangeable. C has to be c. Okay, so now what do you do? Okay, what did you get for 10 squared plus 15 squared? 325?
Oh,
It's
I
improvement.
turned 18. Like, does that worry you?
I turned 18
What?
in November.
As of tomorrow,
that
I'm a
permit.
year away from being an adult.
Is it your birthday tomorrow?
Yes.
Happy almost
I
birthday.
turned 18 in November.
Okay.
On my 18th birthday.
So if this is your
He's
setup,
not gonna be at school tomorrow, so no one's gonna say happy birthday to him.
Is your birthday tomorrow?
well, here's our happy
Jaden's turning
birthday.
18.
All right. So here's what you do.
Disneyland for your birthday?
If you take the
I don't
square
know.
root
I don't.
of both sides, right? This is, remember we had to do simplest
Wait.
radical
Are
form.
we gonna be able to use this on the quiz?
No.
I'm gonna use this on a real one. Where's
The first thing you want to do is take the square root, right? Try it. Take the square root of 325.
How
Does
you
that
find
work out to a whole number?
No.
You hit second and then the x squared button.
18.02.
18.0.
Right. Okay, so when you plug it in,
I did it first.
right, you get a number that is not a whole number. That is not a perfect square.
Error.
I got 1.0.
You probably hit the wrong one. Hit the x squared. Bring it here.
Almost over.
25.
That's, we don't want a decimal. So when it comes out to a decimal, it is wrong.
25.
So then you take what perfect squares is it divisible by,
25 times 13.
right? So here's your
Yes,
list.
13.
Is that gonna
Okay.
be on the quiz?
No, but you can figure those out.
The
Remember,
4,
this is
16, 25.
2 squared, this is 3 squared, this is 4 squared, this is 5 squared. So just plug them into your calculator if you don't know them.
Can I write it on my hand?
No. I'll write them on the board. I'll write those on the board for you. Okay, so you're gonna take this, and it was 25 and what? What was it?
13.
Okay.
Wait, how did you do that?
How did you get 13?
So he went 325 divided by, well, here, the process is 325 divided by 81, 325 divided by 64, divided by, you divide by all those numbers until you find one that's a whole number, right?
Wait, I have a question.
So you go 325 divided by 25, and when you plug that in, you get 13. So that means 25 times 13 is 325. The square root of 25 is simplifiable. That's 5. The square root of 13 we can't simplify. So you get 5 rad 13. Okay? What's your question?
So let's say our number was 162. You know how
Mm-hmm.
you said that like we should always pick like the highest number?
Yeah.
So if I did let's say I didn't do 81 and 2, like if I did 9 and 16, would we still get the wrong like
9
would
and
we still get the
18.
right answer?
So here's the deal. If you did 9 and 18 instead, you'll still get to the right answer if you
It'll take
keep
longer.
going, right? So this is not 3 rad 18 because rad 18 you can break down. So this is 3 times the square root of 2, which is 9 rad 2, which is what you would get if you did 162 divided by 81 and 2 is 9 rad 2. So you'll still get there if you keep going.
So is the
But a lot of times people get here and they go, oh, it's 3 rad 18, and it's not, because rad 18 is not simplified. The answer is 5 rad 13.
Oh, so we don't have to do all that.
So basically-
No, he was asking about a different question. Basically what?
I'm just gonna fail this section of the test.
No, you're just gonna pay attention
This is way
now.
Too much writing. Like, I
You're just
can't-
gonna pay
this is
attention.
One of the only parts that makes sense.
Okay,
What
so
It
listen,
does make sense.
this is the same
Everything but
thing.
This makes sense to me.
You have y squared plus what?
I don't know.
15 squared
Equals 17.
equals 17 squared,
Wait,
okay?
why-
The hypotenuse, the one across from the right angle, has to be the one by itself, okay? So if that's a number, then put that number
So,
by
I know
itself.
that A squared plus B squared plus C squared part. So like I know how to write it out. But
Great.
now that I'm here, I'm done for.
Okay, no, you're not.
I'm
Listen.
not done for.
If you want to turn them into numbers, you can. I don't recommend you do. I would just treat them how they are right now. We want to take away the 15 squared because we want y by itself. Your calculator will do this for you. So type into your calculator
Yeah, you get
17
64.
squared minus 15 squared, and you get 64. So y squared equals 64. What's your next step?
Divide.
not divide.
Square root.
Square root, right? If we want to get y, we have to square root y squared, and whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So you get y equals, and here's where you check, is 64 a perfect square?
Yes. Yes, it
Plug
is.
it into your, true it. You don't need to know that. You just plug it into your calculator.
Which one is it, by the way? 'Cause there's
So you
two
go
of them.
second, x squared.
It's this one, the one without the little x.
Oh, okay.
Can you write that instruction on the board?
Can't you just square 8?
8.
I
No.
thought you understand it.
You can do it.
Yeah,
Um,
four.
This one works out perfectly, so your answer is 8. You're done. You don't have to put it into a radical and a non-radical because that 64 is a perfect square,
On the back.
okay?
What if it's not a perfect square?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Then
That's when we do this, right? Okay, let's do a couple. Let's
Oh,
just
that's
do a
what
couple
you're
of the
thinking.
non-perfect
Breaks
squares.
my mind.
Oh, so
Let's
I just
do-
opened up a bunch of those.
Okay,
If we have any
here you go.
Hey.
The square root of 128. Here are all your numbers.
What did you just say?
Okay, I will write those on the board.
64 and 2.
Right, so 128 divided by 100 doesn't work out to a whole number. 128 divided by 81 doesn't work out to a whole number. 128 divided by 64 gets you a whole number. So you get the perfect square and the one that's not a perfect square. The perfect square is 64. The one that's not is 2. What's the square root of 64?
8.
8. If you don't know that, plug it into your calculator, right? This is 8 times the square root of 2. Okay? What would you do with this? The square root of 24.
This is where I get lost.
Which of these numbers?
Four.
4, right? 24 is divisible by 4. So you put the perfect square here. 4 times what? 6. So this is 2 times the square root of 6. Okay? How about the square root of 48? Don't say it. Even if you know it, don't say it. Because I want everyone to try the numbers, okay? So you're going to go 48 divided by 36, divided by 25, divided by 16, divided by 9, divided by... Figure out what is 48 divisible by. Don't say it.
Oh,
Don't say
I
it.
got the answer.
Okay,
first.
I had the answer.
this is
Okay,
the part
but there's
where I get
multiple
confused.
answers here.
What?
Do you have the best answer?
Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Yes.
What did you get?
16 and 3.
16.
What?
It is divisible by 4, but 4 is
I
not
had
wrong. Listen, 4 is not wrong. You're just going to have more work to do.
I get stuck here
Um,
after I write the two numbers.
Right, so here's 16, right? 48 divided by 16. That's why I always say start high and work your way down. Start at this end and go that way, okay? Because then you'll get the highest number first. So 16 times 3 is 48, but it's the square root of both those things. What is the square root of 16?
What does that mean? I forgot what that
What
means.
number times itself equals 16?
Can't you just enter that?
Yes, absolutely.
And 4.
4, right. So this is 4. If you type in the square root of 3, you get 1 point some decimal that keeps going. We don't want decimals. So you have to leave that as the square root of 3. That is simplest radical form. Okay?
Yeah. Can we do
Okay.
like one more?
Sure. Let's do the square root.
Sorry, guys.
That was terrible.
Class.
You're not. The square root of, let's do the square root of 98. Don't say it.
4.
Okay? I'm just going to write the numbers up here right now.
Is it?
Figure it out.
I don't appreciate calling you my mother that.
What do you call your mom, Luke?
You call my mother
Amen.
Okay. Figure it out.
We're doing
Don't say it.
98.
Figure it out.
Figured it out.
98.
Silently
I
do this
figured
real
it
quick.
out.
Start high,
So
right?
you do two.
So 98 divided by 100 doesn't make sense, right? 98 divided by 81. 98 divided by 64. Keep working your way down until you find one that works.
I got a,
Oh, let's go. I got a good one.
I got a good one.
I figured it out.
I'm not figuring it out.
What'd you get?
No, I see the salt
I
now.
got 49.
49 and 2.
49.
49 square roots to 7. So 7
And
add
2.
2.
Okay? So the square root of 49 times the square root of 2, the square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 2 you can't get a whole number for, so you leave it as 7 rad 2.
Oh, I understand! High five!
Winning.
Ah.
Okay. Second page.
No.
Leave my
It's gonna
hand.
hurt.
All right.
No.
Did you see your brother's dog?
2 types, excuse me. Do not talk about her brother. We're doing math right now. Don't turn around and speak.
Yeah.
Really bad.
2 types of triangles. Truett, this is a bad idea. Sit down. A 45, 45, 90. Tell me what you know about a 45, 45, 90 triangle.
Equals 180.
No.
The angles will equal 180.
Oh
No.
yeah, which side is red?
L.
There's an L rad 2. Which side?
Is it
This side.
The one across from the right angle, right? This is L times the square root of 2. What is this side?
Just L.
L. Okay, listen to me. This is an exact problem on your quiz. You have to fill in the L and you have to fill in the L rad 2. When you're done with that on your quiz, ask me because I'm going to write the right answers in case you get it wrong. Because if you get that wrong, you get all of these wrong. Okay?
M.
The second one, the 30, 60, 90. This is your shorter leg. The one across from the 30 is L. What's the one across from the 60?
L rad 3?
L rad 3. And what's the one across from the 90?
L2.
L2.
2 times
How do we
whatever
get
that
that?
L length is. Those are just shortcuts that we found, right? Because we did the Pythagorean theorem. L squared plus L squared equals the hypotenuse squared, and we solved for the hypotenuse, right? These are going to be the same because it's isosceles. Okay.
Actually itchy.
Okay, so here's the situation.
It's like pinning.
You have this picture, and now you get this triangle. What is A?
6.
6.
A is 6 because your legs have to be the same length. So A is 6. What is B?
6 rad 2.
Truett.
8.4.
So how come for the one on the right side, one of the legs is L3, and then on the one on the left side,
It's 2 different.
neither of them are L3?
Because that is a 45, 45, 90, right? In a 45, 45, 90 triangle, if your base angles are the same, then the sides across from them have to be the same also. So that's an isosceles triangle. This one's not isosceles because you have all different angle measures,
Did you call me a?
right? So if it's isosceles, then these have to be the same,
Call me
right? And then this will be L rad 2.
a- And then
Does that make sense?
So
In this one, they're all different,
He pulls out a gun.
okay?
is that?
I'm ready.
So this one is, L is your like starting your jumping off point. That's the one across from the 30.
I'm gonna forget all
I
this.
took that red one too
Well,
fast.
that's why we're going over it right now.
I'm shaking.
So this is L.
Do you remember Sue?
They don't-
This is L rad 3, and then this is double whatever that L side is, 2L.
Practice.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's
Like,
terrible.
He would drink monsters and like bang.
Okay, so tell me what B is right now. This is 6, and 6. Isaiah.
Yeah.
6, 6, and what? What's
Six
B?
red, too.
6 red.
6 times the square root of 2, right? It's 6, 6, 6 times the square root of 2.
What?
Wait, so
Okay.
we don't have to solve the 6 red, or that's already.
No, that's it. You're just leaving it like that.
Oh, and then for D, I just put like 7 rad 3.
Yes. Okay, so number 8 here. This is which side of the triangle
That's
in
leg.
the general setup?
That's the leg.
I'm gonna erase all of this.
So it would be 7.
Yeah, D is 7.
No, C is 7.
No, D
'Kay.
is 7.
No,
No,
no.
C.
Oh,
L.
C is 7. C is 7. C is 7.
Silly.
L rad 3 and 2L, right, is your setup.
What did you just say?
Okay. So if the hypotenuse, the one across from the 90, is 14, the one across from the 90, that's your 2L side. So if 14 is 2L, C is your L, your shorter leg, right? So what is C? 7. You take that 14 and you divide by 2. Okay, so C is 7. And then once you know what L is, this is your L rad 3. So what is D?
7 red, 3.
7 rad
Can I
3.
use this side of the paper on the test?
No.
I'm failing.
No, you're not. That's why we're practicing right now.
That mentality, Troy, you will.
Okay, this is the last one, and I would say this is the hardest one.
Is E3?
E is not 3, but you're moving in the right direction.
3 rad 3.
Mm-hmm. Remember, this is your L rad 3 side. Okay? The rule is divide by 3 and then multiply by rad 3. Right? So if I have a 9 here, then E is what?
3 rad 3.
3 rad 3. If I have, let's say, same triangle, I have a 12 there.
3 is
What's this
6,
side?
Or wait, no. 6.
4 rad
wait.
3.
4 rad 3. Divide by 3
Oh, no.
and multiply by rad 3.
I wasn't paying attention.
If this is
Idiot.
21, what is this side?
7 rad 3.
7 rad 3. So you are dividing by 3,
You got it wrong.
multiplying by rad 3.
Wait.
Hey,
Wait,
quit.
so E is 4 rad 3? Or is E 3 rad
E is 3 rad 3 because the number was 9, right? Divide by 3
By 3 and then you add the rad.
and then multiply by rad 3. Okay? What is F then? What is the hypotenuse side?
3.
No.
2.
6.
You take this side
Any times
6 rad 3.
and it's 2L now. So it's
It's 3 rad
6
3,
rad 3. Right? You are doubling. So down here, if this is 7 rad 3, what is this side?
14.
14 rad 3. If this is 4 rad 3, what is this side? 8 rad 3.
Wordle.
Okay? No, quiz.